Hey everybody, Driftwood here, Great Horn Builds. Today we're going to be building a custom hatchet handle. We got a request after we had a yard sale. And at the yard sale I put out this custom hatchet that I So what we're going to do, because I used hickory for that handle, old parts from an old hammer, did a little bit of weld forging, wrapped her up, and she turned out beautiful. We're going to build another one, but we need wood for the handle, and we're going to need some metal. But let's find the wood for now. Alright, so right here we actually have an Oregon white oak. Now, typically people would use things like hickory, oak, things of that nature for handles. We're going to be using white oak, and as you can see, I've already started sawing on a big old chunk right there. Fortunately, the saw has gotten stuck, so we're going to get at it again with the lathe. Right, we've got our white oak piece that we've cut. Sorry the audio cut out, or I just forgot to turn it on. And as you can see, that is a good thick chunk of white oak. That's probably 28 inches long, so just about right for a hatchet handle. We can go a little shorter, but we've got to clean up all these burrs so we can get a good clean core cut on this thing. That's what we want. All right, let's get it set. Alright, so we're going to be using our bandsaw to trim this down. And we got to get through all the stuff in the yard because, well, let's just say things needed to be cleaned and organized and separated. And that's what we've been doing along with the yard sale we have. But we're going to make this happen, so let's get her going. Alright, into the garage / shop. Alright. Remember the off-road John Deere? We've got the back tranny on. She's a lifted beast. And if you've ever seen John Deere, you know they don't sit 28 inches off the ground like this beast here. And she is a beast. Woo, check her out. Yeah, she's got a lot of stuff on it. So there's the extended front end. All lifting stuff on it. You can see how much we lifted the back because that bracket right there was way up top. Alright, but we need the bandsaw, not the John Deere today. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to clip off these right here where the suckers were coming off and clean this thing up the best we can so we can make a really good cut and get our pattern printed out. And I think we're going to go with an extended stiletto handle pattern, which is essentially like this one right here, but a little better. So let's get her going. Alright, first things first.
I'll go. Now tell me, baby, what you think of me. Well, now tell me, baby, what you think of me. You ain't been giving me no rest since I've been in Nashville, Tennessee. One more verse and I ain't gonna sing no more. I'm gonna sing one more verse and I ain't gonna sing no more. 'Cause my train is here and you know I gotta go.
Heck of an oven mitt, right? So we gotta go ahead and we're gonna seat this. Make sure that that little whippersnipper is going to be an issue. We'll do it on this side. Let's see. We'll make sure we get that as good as we can. Right there. Oh, all right. So she's all nice and seated now. Now we want to get, I don't even think we're going to make lines on this. We're just going to cut it, freehand it all the way through. Alright, so as you can see, we have started the shaping of the hammer. Sorry, not the hammer, but we have started the shaping of the tomahawk axe. The axe, the hatchet. That's what we have started. Yeah, so to get that nice rolled edge, we use a little palm router and a nice little bit on there. And then to actually grind down everything, we use the grounder for the little edges. That's right, scroll saw, boom. Alright, so we're getting closer. Now, I didn't go with the stiletto style body on this. I went with more of a husky style body just because I'm building this one to be a little bit more durable. Now, when I built this handle, this is thin. I mean, this is really thin. It's perfect for me, and I'm not worried about it because it's hickory. And not only is it hickory, but it's got glue in so I went over the whole thing with wood glue, ground all that down so all the pores were filled, and then I came back over it with a two-part epoxy and layered that. So it's got about 4 layers of two-part epoxy on top of it. So this thing has got a little added extra strength to it. I like this thing. It's pretty cool. I can't even believe I was thinking about selling it, but you never know. I figured if I got an offer on it for the right pliers, I'd do it, but instead of getting not only one offer on this, I ended up with 2 people wanting me to build them custom hatchets as well. So we're at this. It's been, we've probably been at this for about maybe 2 hours on and off, between probably 2 hours of baking and another 2 hours of grinding so far, but getting the yard cleaned up and everything. So boom, back at it. I think we need to take off a lot more material, so we may hop over to grind. know she's gonna be hot. Hot, 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 hot. Oh, so very hot. Very, very hot. Alright, so we officially have the handle attached. Looks good, right? Got the blade on, but Now we're going to pour our next support. That connects there and fill the end, but we need to add a whole lot of duct tape, so I made this so we can pour all that 2-part epoxy in there and then grind it down to the shape we want. So let's go ahead and add a little more tape and we'll be right back. Alright, here we go. It's on the final dry. Put on some epoxy last night, but whatever rag I cleaned it off with must have had some oil on it, so I had to go through and sand most of it down to get this final finish. Tell me that doesn't look pretty. Alright guys, so that's how you do it. Take your white oak, make your stencil, transfer it onto the white oak, make your cuts, grind, sand, and you too can have a 2.58 pound hatchet just like this. And we did go ahead and try it out already. We took out a couple logs in the back. I had some apple wood that needed to be split, so after everything was seated last night, not shaved down, because that was just a big chunk attached to it, I had to go ahead and shave that down and sand it and all sorts of neat stuff, but doesn't that look cool? Yeah, a lot of work. I think we're into this one 4 days now. So, boom. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Driftwood out.